Good evening. We'll call the meeting to order. You got the tape running. You got your tape running. We are live. Tonight is a meeting of the Darien Housing Authority. In attendance, we have Commissioners Susan Vogel, Jay Matthews, Daniel Linick, and myself. And we are joined by Todd McClutchie and Fawn Murray, and our new site manager, Dina Miller. I'm getting it. And we will begin with, we have minutes to vote on from the June 25th meeting. Without objection, the minutes of the June 25th meeting will be accepted as submitted. Hearing no objections, so ordered. Executive Director's Report. Dee, you got anything for us?
I just want to introduce,
Come on, if you say hello.
Oh, yeah, hello. Just wanted to introduce, Adina is the new site manager. She started August 5th. Just, continuing on with the good work here and been meeting with tenants, just dealing with issues around here, not much, but, and then putting the office in order and just doing a good job. Yeah.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Indeed.
I stopped in and we've chatted, and I explained to Adina that if there's anything she needs, she has my cell number, my email address. Call me anytime. Understanding, as everybody else who's ever been in that office understands, every now and then no is an acceptable answer. We try not to make promises we can't keep. Moving right along. Do you have anything to report to us this evening?
I'm kind of prepared to field questions.
Okay. All right, let's go to old business. I put a bunch of this stuff on here myself just because I wanted to get an update as to where we were. Do we have any? We had talked about newsletters, both for the Heights and for Old Town Hall houses. Have we made any progress in doing that?
Yes, I do have a template that I've used at a prior facility that really worked. It's minimal, but bright and informative. So the goal is to try and get one out for mid-October.
Okay.
So that's what we're working on now, what information we're kind of putting there. A lot of this is going to be like a lot of reminder things. It's just like unit maintenance, things that we're noticing that we're getting calls in the office on that we just kind of want to remind people of, how to call work tickets in, and different processes we want to remind residents about, and then any events that we're thinking about doing for the coming holiday season. So it's just right now in the planning stage. We want to definitely get something out for mid-October.
That'll take care of the Heights. What about the Royal? Have we got
I thought-
anything in the works?
We can piggyback that,
Good.
and we can do Q&A type stuff
Good.
on there, and then just any updates as to where we are with completion and construction progress,
There is
and resident application information as it becomes available.
there is a website, and there is information on the website about applications, but we want to keep our current residents up to date as to where we are. If any of you have been by the site, there is progress.
Daily.
Finally,
Huge progress.
you actually
yeah.
see,
Yes.
there was a lot of progress going on all along, but it was all underground. See, all you saw was a dirt pile being shifted from here to here. Now you can physically see the building taking shape, which is great. Okay, we'll get on top of that.
So I'm sorry, just
Yes.
back to the newsletter. Will there be information also about planning ahead for what residents should be expect, or remind them of, what happens during winter with respect to just the
Furniture.
plowing and getting furniture in and
Yeah,
all
that's
of
certainly on the list of things. Joe and I sit together a lot, so a lot of that information will come as a combination of our two heads. So, yeah, that's definitely part of the plan. I think it should serve as like a reminder of things, so you're not constantly sending out 50,000 notices.
Right. Okay, very good.
Okay.
I'm sorry, just one more thing about
Yeah, go ahead.
the website for the Royal. I haven't looked at it, I have to admit, in a couple of weeks. I did see that it was up and it looked good. Is there any information yet up there about, for returning? When, I guess the question is, when will information go up about, or when do we expect information might be going up about the application process and or returning residents?
So
Or is it still, I know it's dependent on when we believe the when we expect the project to be completed,
Yep.
because there's that time frame that we have to adhere to. So what might we be looking at, given where we are now?
So first, I think is important is probably we put sort of new applicants and existing residents into two different buckets. I think the office is in constant contact with the existing residents, and I think that should continue. We should continue to have, direct email and also phone conversations with those residents about what the application process is going to be, what information they will need, and the timeframes for those, and sort of leave that off to the side, because I think including that on the website will only confuse
Right,
the balance of, the public looking at.
What's the
How I-
address, what's the address for the website? I know.
The Royal,
Yeah. Is it
the Royal at Darien.
Yeah, I
It's
think it is.
THEROYLE Darien.com.
and I think
THEROYLE
LE Darien.com.
Darien?
I think I accessed it from the town, the DHA, from going to the town and going to our website. I think there's a link there too, correct?
They did put it on that for us.
Yep, so that's
You can
helpful.
access it from the Heights one as well, so it has a way to go back and forth to the two. So there are 3 ways to get there, but yes.
And there is
Email address is probably
There
good.
is a link on that website for people to fill out some information, so they will get on a list that will notify them when we are ready to start
that's
accepting.
good.
Oh, that's
I love
perfect,
that.
thank you.
applications.
All right, well then that answers my question, so.
So in addition to that,
Go on that website, fill out some basic information. We're not looking for a lot of information at this stage of the game, because under the rules, if we gather all that financial information and stuff, by the time we're open, it's no good.
It's no good, right?
So all it does is get you on a list that will get notified when we are prepared to start accepting applications for residents.
All right, that's great.
Perfect.
and I think it's a real brief snapshot of you need to have certain income qualifications and the rents, within certain ranges. And that's it. Get on the wait list.
No, not waitlist, get on the list.
Or get
for
on the list
information.
for information, yes.
Okay.
The one thing I noticed, Todd, on that website is that it does give some really ballpark numbers on what rentals will be, and they're not in the ballpark. I think we need to take a look at that to make sure. What I did not want to have happen was they are dramatically different. And I'm not saying not justified, we don't know what this whole thing's going to come out by the time we're done. But not in the ballpark of where our current residents are. And I didn't want current residents to get off into Never Land somewhere by looking at that website and saying, wait a minute, my rent's going to triple when I come back.
So, right, again, I think existing residences are totally different circumstances, and, I think the office will communicate, and as we've had in our previous newsletters, that their rents will be maintained at the same current levels.
I get it, because the website is out there, I don't want somebody looking at the website and jumping to an untrue conclusion.
So then I guess-
New residents, it's accurate for. Existing residents, nothing has changed.
So what we should be saying, to just reinforce that, is that anyone who's an existing resident of the Royal, as it's now named, should only pay attention to communications they get directly from the
Yes.
staff. Any
Yes.
information that's on the website is only intended for
New
potential new residents.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Anything else on newsletters? Any questions, comments? Moving right along. Lawn care maintenance and tree replacement and exterior cleaning. We've had a couple of comments from people. This was a bad year. I mean, there were an awful lot of good things happened this year, but this was a bad year in terms of weather. We had a great spring growing season and everything grew, not only the lawn, the weeds, We had a hot stretch in the summer, which didn't help the lawn, helped the weeds. We know we've had a couple of trees along the perimeter that have died, and we've said we're going to replace them. We could not replace them in the middle of the summer because whatever we replaced it with in that weather would have died. So now is the time when you would typically expect to see those kinds of things being replaced. Where are we in that schedule?
Yeah, we'll call in Joe and he can explain that's why he's here.
Well, I think we have a total of 9 trees that need to be replaced. 9 that were installed with the construction of this property.
Yep.
We're putting it up to bid, and we'll present it to the board when the estimates come in.
Okay. So, just so everybody knows, these issues are not being ignored. They have to be done in the appropriate time frame. If we had jumped right on it when the people raised the issue, we would have put a Band-Aid on it and be right back where we started from 4 weeks later. So we're doing it appropriately. Joe?
And we also had to see how the irrigation system was working in respect to the trees on the property. So this time between when this property opened up and now is giving us what we need to know what's going to work, what's not going to work. So now is the time.
Okay.
And then to address the exterior cleaning, I think Adina and Joe worked together to put in some kind of timeline and schedule together.
So in terms of the exterior cleaning, Joe was able to do the lower level property, but he can't do the elevated areas. But what we are doing is working on a proposal with, I think what April ago, to do a treatment of the entire property. And then for routine maintenance, we're looking at doing 4 buildings each month, just going through and doing the routine power washing, weather permitting, of course.
Well, what happened to, they were doing power washing for a while,
But
right?
the budget includes for them to do 4 to 5 buildings a year. But because we're noticing that it's accumulating, we want to have them come and just do the property one whole time, and then we'll work on doing the routine maintenance. We'll still keep that same schedule of 4 to 5 buildings a year moving forward, but because it seems to be a growing issue, we want to have the entire property treated and then work on the maintenance of it.
One other issue of maintenance, we still, as far as I know, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, we still have not figured out a long-term solution to the problem of the bases.
Right, I have that on my list.
You know, the weed whackers go in there and chew them up, and we need to find some kind of material or some methodology for putting something in place that won't get destroyed during routine maintenance.
Could we also make sure that we take this learning forward to the Royal? And if there's any, don't know if construction-wise we have columns that might also be exposed to weed whacker damage, if we give some thought in advance to how we preemptively
I'm trying to think if there are
prevent
any
that from happening.
wood or wood material columns over there.
We just might
Most of
want-
them are actually stone over there.
Okay. Yeah. Have we come up with any solution? Because they're looking very bad around, and we've been months now talking about this.
We have not found an appropriate
No.
solution. It's not being ignored.
No, I know.
That's why
Yeah.
we're discussing it. We just haven't got the answer yet. When we
Okay.
find an answer, we'll execute something as quickly as we can. We're aware of it, and we know it's an ongoing problem. It's a problem that will get worse before it gets better. So the solution that we come up with wants to be a long-term solution. We don't want to just, again, we don't want to throw a Band-Aid on there that we're just going to have to go back and repair over again.
And obviously, we just will continue to reinforce to the landscapers that they just need to go a little slower and more delicately around certain areas. Because the material change is a significant change and not one easy to correct.
I put on the agenda, review the pet policy. The only reason I put this on the agenda is so that we all get a copy of it, which you should have gotten in your packet. We've had a couple of issues. It's not a big problem, but we've had a couple of issues with people forgetting that the policy for the heights is very clear. you cannot allow your animal out without a leash, period. Not sometimes, not on the front lawn, not, period. The dog comes outside the front door, it must be on a leash. And that's just something we have to emphasize every now and then so that everybody understands. We also have to remind people, this is a big, wide open, green area. And every now and then we get people who are not residents here who think, oh, it's a dog park, I'll walk my dog here. We're not trying to be bad neighbors. We're not saying, no, you can't walk through the property. But no, you can't have your dog off a leash, or you can't do things, and then you have to clean up after the animal, as long as you're on our property.
I just have one
Period.
question. This pet addendum this is not new. This has been in place?
This has been in place. This is
Okay,
right.
so all the current pet owners here should have signed this and paid the $1,000 deposit, et cetera, et cetera.
That is correct.
Correct?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Whether or not everybody's up to date, I don't know the
Right,
answer
right,
to
we
that,
wouldn't
but
know, right,
the
but
the
this
policy is not new.
is, right.
The policy
policy's
has been
not
on the
new,
books for quite some time, and everybody should be in compliance, and we will do everything we can to ensure that everybody is in compliance.
And this could be something that could be added to the newsletter, like
Yeah.
a reminder, friendly, you
Right.
know, put dog on a leash, pick up after your dog.
Yep.
I think also in reference to this, we discussed adding a assistance animal clause to it, because assistance animals don't pay the deposit and they don't pay the monthly rent fee. But they also need to be reminded that they have to abide by all of the safety requirements for animals. So I think that's something that we need to build in here that's not in here.
And for assistance animals, the town hall has a good sign up that says, you know, only animals that have been specifically trained. And I know there's a lot of controversy between, you can virtually get anyone to say you have a support animal as opposed to an animal that is specifically trained to aid a person. Are we making that distinction, or are we just?
I'll have to clarify, because the HUD regulations are very specific about assistance animals, and they don't have all of those restrictions. Assistance animals are a very touchy subject, because you
Right,
can't put a lot of restrictions on them. Someone can have a fish as an assistance animal, if that's what's so documented.
Right, versus a government building or a
Yeah.
public facility.
Right,
Which is
right,
very
Yeah.
different.
right.
So we just have to be really clear. The town may have regulations, but we
We're
want to make sure
different.
that
Right,
we're not.
right, okay, yep, fair enough.
Okay, and the last item I added was, we talked some time ago about whether or not the commissioners ought to have a different email address rather than their personal email addresses, and I think it's a subject we ought to revisit. We should look into doing something so that we're not using our personal email address for housing authority
Right, and
business.
so what we did learn was that we couldn't get an email address through the town. So
Right.
we had to come up with we can all open up a creative Google or Gmail
Right,
email address specifically for our business as commissioners.
Okay. One of the questions I would ask is, at one time, we used Optimum as the vendor for our internet access here in the office. Is that still the case? Who do we get internet service
We do
from?
cable vision, Optimum.
Is that who we use?
Yeah, optimum, yes.
Because Optimum allows a user to have a certain number of email addresses associated with that account at no cost. So it's something we ought to look into, whether or not we could get 1, 2, 3, 4. We would need 5 addresses, which I don't think is beyond their limit, that would be associated with that Optimum account. Dean, I'll talk to you sometime later in the week, and we'll see if we can get a hold of Optimum and find out whether or not that can be set up. It's very easy to do it if we've got enough room. And since we're using them anyway, it's no cost to do it.
yeah, it's a great idea.
And that will, that'll just solve the problem.
Absolutely.
Okay, then we'll all have specific emails associated with an account that belongs to the housing authority.
Okay.
Okay? Moving right along, new business. We have, thanks, Joe.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
We have, at the beginning of the meeting, introduced our new property manager, Adina. But once again, under new business, she's going to be the gal in the office. And smile for the camera, there you go. No pressure.
She's trying to get to look her way.
And of course, Myrna's still in the office. And so we feel very strongly that we have the right team in place now. And Fawn is helping us as needed. So we think we're moving right along. We're looking at Wednesday, October 9th. That's the suggested date to do the dedication of the Allen O'Neill plaque. A suggestion had been made that we do it at lunchtime. That suggestion was not met favorably because we do have an awful lot of residents who work and are not available at lunchtime. And a lot of us work and are not available at lunchtime. And we like to do it at a time when people are available to come here and do it. So evening looks like a better bet. Wednesday the 9th has been suggested. Any comments, questions? Is that a date we can make?
Yeah, I can.
You can't. You can?
I can.
You can? Does that work for you?
So Tuesdays and Thursdays are class, so it's hard for me to.
But this is Wednesday.
Yeah, no, Wednesday is
Yeah.
fine, that's fine.
Wednesday's okay, yeah. No, so we're looking at Wednesday the 9th. Can we check with the powers that be,
It's,
Matt and
Yeah, they
whoever
were
else?
fine with that.
it's Yom Kippur, just so you
Oh.
know.
Certainly might be an issue for
Is
some
it an
people.
issue?
Not for me, but it might
It might
be.
be an issue with phone.
Let's check with the office and see what we would need to do to set that up, but tentatively we'll work to that. I'll send out an email as soon as we get confirmation,
Okay.
okay? Groundbreaking for the Royal. We are scheduled for October the 18th. That is a daytime event. And for people who can't make it, I apologize, but there are requirements why that will have to be done during the day. For that event, there are people that get invited, some people from the state, certainly the people who are putting all the money into this project, the financial people we want there, the legal people who went through just stacks and stacks and stacks of paperwork to make this thing a reality. We'd like them to be represented. So we will meet on the 18th of October. Do we have a time for that yet?
I think it was 10:30.
10:30 in the morning we will start, and it will be at the Royal. Obviously it's groundbreaking, and we're not sure where on the property we're going to set it up, but we'll make those arrangements.
A quick question, what's parking like around the Royal at this point? Can we still park on Academy?
Yeah, so we'll clear a small area
Okay.
on the site.
Okay,
Yes, and then parking on the post road during the day is allowed.
yeah,
I don't think they removed those signs during the construction.
No?
And then on Academy.
on Academy, okay,
So it's going to be tight, but we'll
It'll be fine.
have to make it do.
yeah.
It'll be doable. All right?
Thank you for getting that scheduled.
Yes.
Well, that's just the
I
date.
wanna-
Then there's all the other stuff that goes with it.
I want to take a minute just to comment on the paperwork that went into this closing. to Get
Please
the
don't.
finances for this particular project. In fact, the financing for this project was very straightforward. We knew who the money was coming from. We knew in what quantities. We knew when we made the decision to do our own bonding, who was going to buy the bonds. There was nothing about this that was complicated on the surface. And then we got into the paperwork. And as an outsider looking in, it is my belief that what happened here was that there is boilerplate language at all these financial institutions for how these types of deals are put together. And that's all they do, is just crank out boilerplate, change the names, and send it along down the chain of command. And when our legal people got a hold of it, they realized that most of this boilerplate was predicated on what is typical for these types of projects, where you finance a low and moderate income housing project for 40 years, at which time you convert, the developer has the opportunity to convert to market rate. And this isn't that deal at all, because this deal is deed restricted to remain low and moderate income in perpetuity. And there was language in all these boilerplate contracts that talked about the deed being subservient to clauses within the financial documents. And we had to go through all these documents and make sure that that was not the case, that the deed was always the driver and survived any other foreclosure, whatever financial difficulty might come up, the deed survived. And then ensure that there was no language that implied in 40 years, and there's a couple of time frames here. There's a 10-year, a 15-year, a 40-year, and a 60-year for different legal reasons. And we had to make sure there was no language in there that at 40 years would allow some legal eagle to say, well, of course they intended to override the deed. They put the language in the contract. No, the language all had to come out of the contract. So this thing took iteration after iteration after iteration to get language that everybody could agree on, and everybody agreed was truly represented what this deal was. And the lawyers, both from Todd's office and from Curtis Brinkerhoff, Marie Phelan, the bond attorney, all did a marvelous job of making sure that the documents that finally got presented for my signature were in fact clean. And
Long process.
it went on and on and on. And we are now done. All the financing is in place and we're moving right along.
The construction financing.
Well, and the other thing I want to compliment Todd and the rest of the development team on is that during all of this, the project didn't slow down. We stayed on schedule. We had people working at the site every day. In spite of the delays in getting all of this done, they continued to work so that the project did not fall behind schedule, which is no easy task. Applicant selection criteria for the Royal. I put that on the agenda just so we all know where we're headed here. As I said, on the website, there is a place where you can fill out an application, and you will be notified when it's appropriate to start submitting a true residency application.
So, but let's be clear, it's not to submit an application, it's not to
No,
submit an application,
it
it's to
is
get
just to
on the
get your
list
name on the list to be notified when the timing is appropriate.
Right, when applications are available for
That's correct.
completion and submission.
That's
Yeah.
correct. I don't know what I ate today that had so much salt in it, but I have been dying of thirst all that. So the
But I
question,
think there might be a question.
yes, question.
Oh, yeah, when you were on the groundbreaking part,
Yeah.
I was wondering if somebody could give me a projected date that this is supposed to be done, you know, basically, you know, not to the day, but to the month, roughly, you know, summertime?
Summertime of next year.
Summertime, I was
We're
like,
looking
I
at
could go
summer
for
of
it.
next year. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would target,
Oh, so
You know-
it's June to September?
I would
Summertime.
target July and August.
Okay.
Is
No,
the
because the
projection.
last time I remember, it was supposed to be January of 2019, that this was supposed to be.
Complete, yeah.
Done,
You
completed.
move back in. and-
But, you know, of course, nothing ever goes to plan.
That was before Hurricane Harvey.
We're expecting to be ready for
Thank you.
occupancy somewhere in the July-August frame of 2020.
Okay.
That's our
2020,
expectation.
yes.
Yes, next year.
Good, okay.
That is our expectation. So anyway, in terms of the selection criteria, the questions that have come to me, and I'm looking to see whether anybody has any information or can we begin to put together some information. Obviously, existing residents will get situated first. And then the question comes up, will we and how will we go about deciding whether or not any residents that are seniors that are currently residents here at the Heights would be considered for transfer to the Royal? And the logic there would be that it might open up living space here at the Heights for a more appropriate tenant.
So,
Just been asked, I gotta put it on the table.
frankly, I don't think that the option exists to transfer. They're two completely different contracts and developments and deals altogether. I don't know if there is a residency preference built into the marketing, and maybe that would help with living in the town of Darien and proximity to the building. I'm not sure how that would work. But in terms of transferring from the Heights to the Royal, it's just honestly not a possibility. They, in my rough opinion, would be considered new applicants to the development.
So the answer to the question is, if somebody is currently resident at the Heights and qualifies for residency at the Royal, they would be required to fill out an application just like anybody else.
Yes.
And get into the lottery
There
system.
would be no preference, no preferential treatment. It would be handled as a normal
I
application.
think that's a great way to go.
That's fine, I'm just check. Want to make sure everybody
Yeah.
knows what the rules are going into this thing.
And applying doesn't do anything to jeopardize their existing.
No.
No.
So just to be clear,
No.
they can apply without any fearing any
No harm, no
repercussions.
foul.
They stay where they are, if they don't
No,
get
they
picked
can
for the
request
lottery.
other units here as well. That
Okay.
doesn't jeopardize their current standing, no.
That's what I assumed.
And again, let me make sure I understand, the intention would be similar to what we did here. We will take applications, we will sort those applications into the various buckets that they belong in relative to income. Whether, because we have a certain number of units at 25%, a certain number at 50%, a certain number at 60%. So we'll allocate based on what they're qualified for. We will assign through a lottery of some type, assign numbers to those people and begin the process of accepting for actual residency and establishing a waiting list.
Correct.
Okay, now, what happens to the waiting list that existed for Old Town Hall houses at the time we began relocation?
So we got that question today. Again, about this too. But, I mean, Old Town Homes doesn't exist anymore, so I think that those applicants would be new applicants to the Royal.
That would be my take too, but to maybe specifically reach out to people on that list to give them the opportunity and make them aware of the upcoming application process.
How many
And-
people are on that list?
Myrna gave me the list today, actually.
And I'm sure it's pretty stale at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, and it makes sense, but I'm just wondering if there is an anticipation that those people may have that they are going to roll forward with the new building.
I think there is, because we've been getting some inquiries from them, but I think that if we make it completely clear what the process is, I mean, there isn't really much you can do. It's not, the project doesn't exist anymore, so, and they're not grandfathered in because they aren't actual residents.
We'll have to get that information out. I don't know how we will do that, but somehow that information has to be gotten out to
Well, I
these
think
people.
you'd have to
So
send
you
a
want to
letter.
send an updated letter saying, we're updating, are you still interested? If you are, you have
Exactly.
to spell out this new application be in the lottery for this.
Right, and they can't even fill in an application yet.
Well,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you'll get notified
Yeah,
for an
yeah,
application when
yeah.
it's time.
Yeah.
I think that's-
Let me clarify that. Because they are on that list, do they need to go to the website and fill out the information to get on the list to be notified when applications? Or will we notify them?
I think we can reach out to them.
Yeah,
we can
We
reach out
will
to
reach out to these
Yeah.
people, okay.
And that way we can purge
Yeah.
the, residents that no longer are
But we're not
interested.
putting them on the wait list, or we
No,
are.
no, no,
No,
they're just
no,
not-
there is not a
Right,
wait
there
list.
is
Does not
not,
have
right,
a
right.
notification.
There is no wait list exists.
Right, okay. I just
The
wanted
old
to be
wait
sure.
list is no longer valid because the project no longer
Right,
exists.
right.
However, for the people that were on that wait list, the one courtesy they will get is we will not require them to resubmit their name to get put on the list to be notified when it is appropriate to file an application. We will notify them automatically.
I mean, I'm comfortable with us sending a notice out to them, and if they get the note, we'll put the information for the website in there. But if they bring it to us, I have no problem having myself or Myrna enter their information into the
That's
website
fine.
for them. We
That's-
can do that.
Yeah.
That's
Just
fine.
want to make sure
That we're on the same piece of.
everybody knows.
The list, it's,
That's all
I
I
haven't
have.
looked at it.
I have two small,
Under new business,
I
what
have
else we got?
two small things. I've received several complaints about roadway drivers, once again, on the road coming into the Heights. I think you guys probably got one or two of those complaints forwarded through to you. We've talked about this a lot. I know that your office is aware of it. I know it's difficult to do anything, but I do think, because it's been coming up now for quite a while, that it's time to look very seriously at either a camera or a reverse speed bump, so that, you can come in over a speed bump, but if you're going out, it's a more dramatic thump on your car. I don't know if we can put one in, but I have brought this up many times, and I know you guys are aware of it. I know it's a difficult thing to monitor, but as a driver with that home at Darien, twice in the past month, I'm coming in and people are speeding out to get out the wrong way, and it creates a moment of panic. No accidents, no issues, but
Well,
and I know you're new to this, and so you probably haven't heard this, but
if we get a license plate number, we can certainly pursue it. Beyond that, I'm not sure what we can do. Let me check.
Right now, we just have the one-way sign, right?
Yeah.
You know
That's
anything
correct.
that says wrong way or?
yeah, it does say wrong way, do not enter, or something. It's a very clear sign.
All right.
But many of the residents there have gotten in the habit of ignoring it because it's a faster way out of the development instead of coming all the way around. In the morning, they get impatient and they zip out there. This has been something we've been mentioning for several years now. There is a big sign, it is clear, but it continues, I think, to annoy the people who are following the rules and regulations, and it's annoying to see the car. I'm over here, I don't have the ability to stop and check license numbers. I don't know what else we can do other than a reverse speed bump, a camera that, would indicate, you're being watched. I don't know what the solution is, but it's just come up too many times.
In general, I'm very sympathetic to people who go the wrong way on one-way streets. So if it were left to me, in a vacuum, if I got to make this decision, I would put in an appropriate place across that road the same type of thing you see at the entrance and exits at car rental
Yeah,
places.
absolutely.
You would do it once, and I
Yep.
promise you
Yeah.
will
You would never do it again, exactly. That's why I said a reverse speed
This is
bump.
not up to me, I don't work in a vacuum, we
Right.
have to do something appropriate.
Yeah.
And I don't want to minimize the seriousness of the issue.
No, I know.
One of the things that I think we need to do is we need to talk to the Darien Police Department to see if every once in a while they would not put somebody on the road avenue to see if we can get them coming out.
They,
Whether they will or won't, I don't know, because for all intents and purposes, Allen O'Neill Drive is not a public highway.
right, and that's what, we looked into it one time before, and to my recollection, the police said exactly that this is private property. You know, they can't really do much,
Well,
other than if they caught somebody, I guess, coming out.
well, that's what I'm saying, if they were gonna monitor it, they'd put a car sitting in the parking lot at the Norton Heights Fire Department and get them coming out an entrance
Yeah,
onto the
yeah.
public highway. And that they might be able to do.
Yeah, but, anyway, just something to,
I know the appropriate people to speak with down there, I will speak with them.
Alright,
see
and
what
then
we can do.
one other quick
Is there
thing.
any quick and easy painting or anything like
That's what I was just
that?
writing down, and maybe we could do the painted arrows in the driveway, the ones like on the.
And again, I understand people have to pay attention to
Yeah.
that. but-
Yeah, I
Or
think,
the speed one, I mean.
I think
we
people have
to
just gotten in the
discuss
habit of ignoring it because they can.
it. Mhm.
And so they just zip out in the morning or you know, whenever they feel it's appropriate. And,
Yeah, I've noticed it,
That would work.
So I'm sorry, are these visitors or delivery people or residents?
no residents, I
Oh,
feel,
okay.
you know, I feel 99% certain saying that they are residents that have just gotten in the habit in the morning of zipping out, or in the evening, zipping out that way because it's annoying to come all the way around.
If there are residents, we can correct that. All we have to do is identify who they are.
Yeah, well, I don't have one.
I know, I understand it,
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, if we get any information as to who they are, we can correct that behavior very quickly.
yeah.
This is not an issue.
So what is the correct, is it a police violation? Is
It
it?
is definitely a lease violation.
Absolutely.
Even if it's not specific language, the lease does have a clause about endangering the welfare of others, and so there's that clause.
So is there something then we could put in the mid-October newsletter that makes a point of that attention is being paid, and anyone who's caught going the wrong way, there are consequences?
And then I have one other quick thing. It's also brought to my attention that when people are exiting the road correctly here on, I guess this is Allen O'Neill, past Building 12 and Building 5, people have gotten into a bad habit of parking in front of either Building 12 or Building 5, waiting for people. Now, sometimes it's just a short waiting for somebody, and that's no issue. But a couple people have said to me, cars are parked there for half an hour, 45 minutes, while somebody runs upstairs and does whatever it is that they're doing, or in and out. So my thought was, and when I went out and looked at it, there is a no parking sign as you come up to building, I guess that's 14. There is a sign there that says no parking, but as you get up towards building 12 and 5, there's no more signs. So maybe an additional sign that says no parking, and maybe painting the curb bright yellow would just help to remind people.
We can look into it. I mean, I am hesitant to paint the property with signs around the
Yeah,
whole lawn,
yeah.
and I think that we're growing in the number of signs we have.
Yeah.
But we can certainly look into it. I think Building 12 is directly across from the office.
Yeah.
So I honestly, during the day, don't see a lot of people there. I've seen it once or twice, but I think it's maybe less than 5 minutes.
Yeah,
that a
that's-
person
yeah,
pulls
no,
in and
yeah.
out.
Can I say something? I know the two people who do it. One, she's just very, very old, and she tries to help her mother. They're my neighbors. I can just tell them, say, please don't do it because it's causing a little bit of trouble, and they won't do it anymore. It's just the two people. I know exactly what you're talking about and everything. And they should know better anyway because they've gotten hit many times. So,
Yeah.
people are backing out, they're not realizing,
That's
so.
fair money.
Right.
You know.
And I think what happens is it just
Yeah.
you know, so nobody cares, you know,
Yeah.
you're running upstairs.
I mean, I don't have to put all these signs around. I'll just, I mean, literally, when I go home, I can just say, you guys, seriously, don't do it. I know it's, because they just have to go across the street, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a big deal.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
Yeah, good,
Thank
thank you. Okay. That's it.
But I'll still include it in the newsletter.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is the first I'm hearing of it, so now knowing, I'll be more mindful of it, but I don't see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving right along, anything else under new business? Anybody got anything else? Anything you want to talk about? Anything from the Heights?
Yes, just two things.
Go ahead. That's where
I
we're
was just wondering if it's possible that when they spray the chemicals, can they do it like maybe during the week versus on the weekend? Because it is our home, and I rented this place, and thank God it was the week after, but they did it on that Friday, you know, and then I had people, you know, kids, and we couldn't go on the grass. So I'm glad that we did it the last time. I was just wondering, you know, a lot of the kids and people are home on the weekend and like to enjoy being outside and play, and especially back in my house, they're all out there. Their fathers are throwing the balls and everything, and everybody's got to be stuck in because they're worried about these chemicals and if it rained and, you know, that kind of stuff. If it's possible, I just think.
So to address that, it was the crabgrass treatment that we'd gotten numerous complaints about, and we were trying to address it. Also that week it rained a lot, so we were kind of pressed for that. It was a very small window that we could have done it.
Yeah.
It was actually supposed to be done that morning.
But it seems like, I mean, I just happen to see it a lot. I see them putting all those things all up because it's all over our, you know, our walkway and stuff. And I'm like, oh, you know, and I feel like I can't, like, you know, in case my cat comes out, to make sure he runs back in, you know, I get all nervous. That's all, I was just saying, you know, I mean.
Yeah, the crabgrass treatment we did once.
Alright.
We
Yeah.
haven't done it again, and it was.
Yeah, but there's other stuff they spray for bugs and everything too. That brings all the worms out, and that's in the beginning and that kind of stuff. And we see them doing it.
We are working on the pest control.
That was before you were here, yeah.
We are working with the pest control company because we do want to make some modifications to the frequency and service, so I can speak to them about that. Maybe we can look at changing it to more of a midweek treatment
I just
instead
think
of.
maybe, because everybody's, I don't
We'll-
have the younger kids, but I see these people
No,
like,
fair
oh my
enough.
gosh.
No, that's a fair issue, we'll take a look at it, we'll see what we can do. What else?
Okay, and one other thing, what about spray washing the patios? They're just, the ones that are.
We talked about that before you
Oh,
got
you
here.
did? Oh, okay. No, I'm just saying,
We-
I get out there and
we
I
are
wash my
going to-
white thing, you know, there's a big white thing, I always wash it every day, but to me,
We had a schedule for
oh,
a couple buildings, you know, a rotating schedule. We are going to do the entire property.
oh, cool, okay, I didn't know if
I
you
don't know
wanted,
when,
if
but
I
we're
was
working on
able
the
to get
schedule.
somebody to do it, I didn't know if I was supposed to
And
do
then
that.
once we do that, once we get all caught up again, then we'll go back to a couple
Oh,
buildings.
okay,
and
I
regular-
just didn't know if I was responsible, that's
No,
all, I
it's
just
in
wanted to
the-
make
it's
sure.
in the works. Yeah,
It's
in the works.
that's not underneath you, and he's gonna get in your purse, and that's what I'm saying, I've been watching it the whole time.
Where is it?
He's right underneath you.
Oh,
He was in your purse. He's trying to get your purse. I mean, he's probably not gonna. I think you freak out at.
Totally crazy, drive me crazy.
That's what I'm saying. It's been driving me crazy. I'm like,
Is it a mouse? What is it?
it's a cricket. Oh, okay. It's a cricket. No, it's not mouse. Okay. It's lucky.
Oh, boy.
I've been watching him today, so it's like going. No, don't do that. No. Oh, he just jumped.
I was gonna pick him up and put him outside.
All right.
Oh, I just think if you went home and he jumped out, you.
That would have been bad.
Yeah, it's very bad, yeah.
The cricket has been removed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you, God.
Okay, anything from the Royal?
I asked already.
Okay.
Just waiting to see it starting.
Just checking to make sure.
I want to see it finished.
We're working on it. We're moving right
I
along.
feel like a gypsy.
Any other questions, comments before we adjourn and move to executive session? Nothing else, therefore, the chair will entertain a motion to end the public session and move into executive session for the purpose of discussing contractual and tenant issues. Do I hear such a motion?
Yes.
Do I hear a second? All in favor? So moved. Thank you all for your
Thank you.
attendance.
Bye-bye, gentlemen.
Bye-bye.